Ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm going to hell after yesterday and this whole week on Sportswire Radio because it is literally broken down between GT Ministries, CCW, Nonstop Action Wrestling, and plus much, much more. And something tells me tonight I'm probably going to have to pay for a lot more of my sins because we got the vigilante of pro wrestling, Bentley, on, and he's got a lot to say. And a little while, we're going to be joined by Disciple, and something tells me it's going to be yet another Donnybrook, and that's to say the least. But we've got a lot to get into here. We know we're behind, but I'm telling you, this is going to be worth it because Bentley, our vigilante of pro wrestling, something tells me he's got some big announcements ahead. Of course, also Saturday night Fountains Church here in Bradford, GT Ministries Ready to Rumble, 30-person Rumble. You know Bentley's going to be a part of it. You know Bentley's got a lot to say. So with that, rather ado here on the Sports Report, number one level sports shop, pro wrestling star here and the vigilante of pro wrestling. That's Bentley.
Are you okay?
Well, I got to be honest. My voice, the last, I would say, 24 to 48 hours, it's been getting there. It's getting tough. It's getting horse-endy. So we'll see how long I hold up tonight. But I am a trooper. I was listening to an interview before where somebody says, well, I do vocal warm-ups, I do this and that, and I don't really do that. That was the person that was Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. And they asked him, well, how do you get ready to sing a show? And he says, well, I just go out there and do it. And that's kind of just what I pretty much do. I just get up there and do it. So, but my friend...
My wrestling, to be honest.
That's kind of how it goes, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm not a wrestler, but Bentley, you are certainly one. And there is a lot to get into here tonight. Obviously, I want to first talk about, though, you've got some news coming up on some shows that you're going to be a part of. And I want to break that because you broke that last night on social media. And I want to promote that for those that are watching, listening to this on Sportswire Radio, are curious where next we're going to find the vigilante of pro wrestling, Bentley.
So yeah, obviously this Saturday we've got the Rumble at GTM, and then the Saturday after I'm making my Britannia Wrestling debut in Denbigh in Wales.
Okay.
And then the week after I will be making my Monday Night Mutiny debut at LWF.
Wait, did you just say the LWF Monday Night Mutiny?
I did, yes.
And that's a company that I'm sure you're well aware of. Over the past year on Sportswire Radio, we speak with just about every other week and maybe in some cases every other day. So you're telling me you actually are going to be wrestling in the LWF?
I am, yes.
Wow. Oh, this is a bombshell, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I didn't expect that one, Bentley.
Well, you know, everywhere needs cleaning up with justice, doesn't it?
Well, certainly in the LWF. I mean, we have had everything break down there between the Wrecking Crew and Balachius and a guy named Martin going back and forth, the sound technician there. And, of course, my guys, Wildfire and Nate Reese and the Acid Stephen Cross. I mean, boy, certainly you're going to fit in there pretty nicely, I kind of think, over there in the LWF.
Well, exactly. Anywhere there's shenanigans, anywhere there's people causing trouble, the vigilante is ready. The vigilante's there.
Wow, okay, July the 30th here. I think I definitely heard a bombshell, and shout out to the lawman Kyle Kennedy, who's going to be with us in this spot next Thursday, and he says he's a big fan of yours. So certainly
thank you.
The lawman Kyle Kennedy, certainly undefeated lawman Kyle Kennedy, is definitely paying his respects. But I'll get to some other things. I want to get to the Rare Bit match very quickly in Bolton Town. I want to talk about GT Ministries for a few minutes before Disciple joins us in about 15 or so minutes, but the LWF, I got to mention for a few minutes because this is obviously, in some ways, I think this is the company that I've probably spoken about the most on Sportswire Radio over the past year. And don't tell us who you're going to wrestle because I know Steve Baby, I know Mikey Fitzgerald. You'll hear it. Most importantly, I'll hear it because the talent there definitely are friends of the show and the word will travel through the grapevine. But I have to ask you, I mean, there's a few wrestlers in particular that we speak of a lot on Sportswire Radio. We speak with. That is the Acid Stephen Cross and Wildfire Nate Reese. And specifically the Acid Stephen Cross Seen him very briefly in Future Shock Pro Wrestling for the Love of Wrestling. They had their Rumble, and he's the kind of guy. Look at you, I look at him. I mean, this would be a match that I think would generate a lot of pounds, a lot of social media interest. This would be the kind of match where I really think it'd be mano a mano, man to man. I mean, without giving it away, Bentley, you and the asset Stephen Cross. I mean, that to me would be a match that I think a lot of people and a lot of people that listen and watch the Sportswire Radio, I think would probably want to see.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people really in LWF.
That's true too. That's true too. Good point.
Stephen Cross is a big guy. I'm a big guy, so you know what I'm like when someone else similar build to me is in that ring. I love it. So bring anybody on. I know and from what I've seen, he does cause trouble, doesn't he?
He does. He does. Yeah, and by the way, the chop. Have you seen his chop shots? I mean, his chop blocks. I mean, those chops. I mean, they can hurt. I mean,
I can give a good chop back. Don't you worry about that.
That's true too. I've seen you against Rarebit. I've seen you in GT Ministries. I've seen you against Sean Only, Jack Johnson, Disciple. You name him, I've seen him against you. So yeah, you could hurt too, pretty much. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, so the last LWF show, my good friend Axel Strife was on the same team.
Yes, I know Axel Strife. Yeah. Yes, I do. Boy, did I knew this was coming. Why did I know this was coming? Boy, I'm going to get in trouble today. That's for sure. I told you I was going to hell. I told you there was no question about it.
So, I know a bit about, what goes on. I know they didn't quite see eye to eye when they were on the same team. So, I'm happy to take anybody on any place. So if Stephen Cross wants to get in my face, I'll put him down.
Well, you do know that Stephen Cross, the asset, doesn't, for whatever reason, play well with others, whether it's Davey Getsky, whether it's Balachius. I mean, I've had him on for over a year. He's one of my guys, just like you're one of my guys. That would be a very, very difficult match for me to pick. But what I would say is that the asset Stephen Cross doesn't seem to play well with others. And certainly, though, in the ring one-on-one, that would be a match I would love to see for sure. I mean, listen, I would also say that the world champion for now, Reynaldo, a guy I've had on a couple of times. I mean, you and him, if he hangs on against Davey Getsky, you and him, I think, would also make a lot of money, to say the least, for sure, for Mr. Bibby.
Oh, I love Reynaldo. From what I've seen, Reynaldo, I love him. He's a great guy.
So he's a great guy. Reynaldo is a great guy.
That's the problem, though. I want to take out people who are causing a nuisance. I don't want to, I'd probably get on with Reynaldo.
You would actually. I have to say, you and him have very similar personalities. There's no question that you and Reynaldo would definitely be on the same side almost all the time, except, well, when you're facing off. But I also know somebody else that you definitely not be on the same side with, and that is Davey Getsky. And you and Mr. Getsky, and I know you know Mr. Getsky. Mr. Getsky definitely knows you, because obviously you share sort of the locker room in Bolton Town Wrestling. We'll get to Bolton Town in a second. And you and Mr. Getsky would certainly be something else I would definitely pay to see in the LWF.
Getsky is one of the guys who I really want to put him down. I know we'll have a great match at some point, and I know it'll be competitive, and I know it will tear each other's head off. But I can't wait for that moment, because me and Getsky when me and him eventually have a match, we'll tear the house down. And whether it's LWF, BTW, heck, he could be LWF champion by the time I see him next. So, yeah, Getsky, watch out, because,
And I've had him on. I'm sure you're aware of a few times.
Oh, yeah, I'm aware.
And Mr. Getsky, let me just say, he's one of the few wrestlers I basically threw some jokes out there, threw some shade on. And we say that obviously lovingly, because off the air, Mr. Getsky is definitely a friend of the show, and we appreciate all of his time coming on. But yeah, I think at the top of the list, Davey Getsky and the Asset Stephen Cross. And I'll even throw out there an old warhorse and Wildfire Nate Reese, who was running away from Bob Costin for a very long time. And unfortunately for us here on Sportswire Radio, Mr. Costin finally got one over on Wildfire Nate Reese.
Well, we also, me and Nate Reese faced Franco Varga in the same week.
Yep. Well, I'm aware of that as well. But you had a different outcome in a different way. Mr. Reese, while he sort of lost by disqualification, he kind of goofingly.
Yeah.
I mean, that was as goofingly as you could come. But he was happy about it. He was happy about his outcome. I know you had a different feeling about your outcome, but you were much, much more, in a way, toe to toe with Mr. Varga than Mr. Reese was.
I mean, not to be heightist, but I am double the size, so I could
More like triple the size.
Give Franco a bit more of a match.
Oh, you definitely gave him much more of a match, and I would say you're more triple the size of Wildfire Nate Reese. And if you do like what you hear from the LWF, I would highly encourage that you give the LWF a follow on Twitter, LWF Thought, and the LWF Wrestling on Instagram. And I'll be speaking a lot more LWF tomorrow night with the Asset Stephen Cross and Wildfire Nate Reese. So Bentley, I'm going to be bringing your name up tomorrow night for sure on Sportswire Radio. So I'm going to make sure I get the guys' thoughts. And I think we're having on the scenario Nathan Gunn as well. Another guy you'd probably get along with, but I would say definitely avoid his after parties, because his after parties you could get into a little bit of trouble. But
Really.
Yeah, you could. That's all I'm going to say, because I'll get in trouble from the locker room. The locker room knows what I'm talking about. But I want to get over to very quickly for a couple of minutes with everything that broke down with Rarebit, because we had you on just before that, and I'll get to GT Ministries in a second. We'll be with Disciple in about 10 or so minutes, but I really want to touch upon the main event last month at BTW, because do I sort of call you for a minute a world champion, the former BTW champion? Because what happened there? Because I'm watching this match, and it just seemed like it was going to be this special moment, the moment that we were all been waiting for here. You finally become a world champion. After everything we've seen the last several months, it all was supposed to culminate and climax here. And what happened here?
Unfortunately, Rabbit had his hand on the rope, and as much as it kills me and him went to absolute war.
Oh my God, that was a war. I mean, listen, that was like in wrestling right now. I think Brock and Roman, they're going to face off again. Last man standing at SummerSlam. Have nothing on you and Rarebit. I mean, I really mean this.
And yeah, so we went to war. Claymored him out. I claymored him and had to claymore him again.
I know.
And then got the free. I didn't see his hand on the rope. The referee didn't see his hand on the rope. The crowd went mental. It was a special moment for about 30 seconds. And then I turned around. They were reviewing some footage on the camera. And we got restarted. And as soon as we got restarted, I got attacked from behind. And then that was it. I'll be back stronger. In fact, the next BTW show, I'll have something to. I'm going to be there with something to say about what's next for Bentley. But yeah, to have in the space of a month 2 titles, the GTM title and the BTW title, ripped away from me, it's given me motivation to come back stronger. I'll work my way back up. In both companies, and I'll get back to those titles.
And I kind of feel like it's got to be some motivation, because everything that went down, GT Ministries, we saw what happened with Sean Only. You should have been the GT Ministries world champion. Bolton Town Wrestling, sort of an unfortunate moment that happens where Rarebit does have his leg on the ropes and they have to restart the match. And you did your best. You tried. But, I mean, obviously, Rarebit got the second wind. And unfortunately, that was kind of here nor there. And it almost has to give you some motivation here coming back into GT Ministries in this Rumble and seeing all these participants, though. But, I mean, it's got to give you some type of motivation, because you've literally been this close. I don't even know. Should I call you a former Bolton Town Wrestling World Champion? I mean, do they refer to you in the record books as that way? Because the Playboy Prince Lance Rivera got referred to as the Wrestle Island champion because he had it for a very brief moment. But do you get referenced as a world champion, or how does that work?
I think he got reversed, didn't it? I think Lance Rivera got cashed in on, didn't he?
Yep. Yes, he did.
I think my decision got reversed, so I don't think that goes down in the.
And knowing you, I don't think you'd want it to count that way. Knowing you, I feel like you'd want that title run where you can just have that moment and, everything else that goes down with it. But it just, to me, I mean, it's got to give you, knowing you, if it was any other wrestler, I'd feel like for them it would be, well, it's got to go back to the drawing board. But for you, knowing that you're the vigilante of pro wrestling, everything that you do, I feel like it's going to give you almost a second win to say, you know what? I'm going to bounce back here. You know what? you can't stop me. Nothing can hold me down. Is that how you feel? I know that answer.
Since then, I've been on a mission to get bigger, stronger, and
You're already big and strong to begin with.
Exactly. I've put on 3 pounds of muscle since then. I've been smashing the gym. I've upped my calories. I've been going to more consistent wrestling training. So I'm determined to make the next 6 months a year just the second half year of Bentley, just to get back into it, get back on, to the top of both GTM and BTW, and get everywhere else.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, already Bentley, the first 6 months of the year, we saw all the things, all the big matches that he's been a part of. But that's also why you need to follow him. Go on this journey with Bentley, and do that by going on Twitter at Bentley Wrestle for all the great things that he brings to the table. Also, I highly encourage that you do also give him a follow on Instagram as well. You can do that at Bentley_wrestling. If you're on Facebook right now, do give his page a like. Also, YouTube. There's a lot of footage out there with Bentley. So Bentley, listen, he's one of my guys. I feel like him and the natural born fighter RP Davis are almost like a clone of each other. Bentley's a little bit bigger, maybe just a tad stronger, but they're very similar.
I don't know, he's a boxer.
Yeah, but the shape you're in right now and what you do in the ring, I mean, you're slightly different wrestlers. I mean, and I love RPD and I love you, but you're very slightly different wrestlers, if I could put it that way. But I think in what you guys bring to the table for the fans, very, very similar. That's why we are honored to have Bentley here. And we're going to see his old foe here in a few minutes. Join him here for a few minutes, and that is Disciple. So very grateful to have any time that we have with Bentley. So going over to GT Ministries Saturday night, I mean, you've seen the list. I mean, the roster that's going to be at the Rumble and the matches, Goliath and Gareth Angel. We've seen an NSAW 6-person showcase match. Tommy Dillon, the head trainer over there, who's been a huge part of GT Ministries, is also going to be in that match. Remus Kane. I mean, Remus Kane, I feel like, is a guy you wouldn't like also to begin with. And I know you know Gung Ho Muttley very well from GT Ministries, but I mean, let's get to the Rumble before Disciple comes in here, because I know you're going to have a lot to say with Disciple, and you're very busy and got a lot to be prepared for here for the ring. But, I mean, what do you make of this Rumble? I mean, I've never seen a Rumble that's got as good of a roster as this one here.
The Rumble, I think, has got a lot of people who haven't been in a big Rumble before. And I think that'll work to my advantage, Disciple's advantage, Sean Only's advantage, the more experienced guys in it.
Gareth Angel, obviously.
Yeah, Gareth. But what I also think is a lot of people, from bits I've heard from your show these past few weeks. And
everybody's heard bits at this point.
On social media, everybody is concentrating on Gareth Angel. But that's not the goal. The goal is to win the match and face Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson's the champion. Everyone needs to I am laser focused on Jack Johnson. That's what you need to be. You need to be focused on that title and Jack Johnson. You get extracted by Gareth in the Rumble. That's it.
Interesting. So you're telling me that everybody's going about it the wrong way and that they should just focus on winning the match. Is that correct?
Yeah, everyone's getting too involved in not liking this guy, not liking that guy. You need to focus on winning the Rumble. All you need to do.
So you've got a different strategy. You're the first wrestler. I have Disciple who's waiting. We'll get to him in 2 minutes. So we'll definitely get, because I really want to get to that between you and him, because this is the first time you guys are going to face off with each other, I think, in many, many months since that main event back in GT Ministry. I know Disciple's got a lot in his mind, but I mean, you're going about it a different approach. You're almost thinking about it from the mind games perspective, the psychological standpoint, that, you know what? Let Gareth Angel do what he does best. If people want to focus on eliminating him, fine by me. But I'm focused on winning the match. I mean, that's an interesting point. I hadn't thought of it that way.
It makes sense, doesn't it? Like, if you've got to go into these things with a game plan, and your game plan can't be, I'm going after Gareth, because that's not the aim of the match. You could be going after Gareth. I'll come behind you, chuck you out.
Do you think that that's what Gareth wants? Because Gareth came out on Facebook last night, right when we were on the air, and actually said he was coming out with a statement, which is probably going to come out after we get off the air, from my understanding. I mean, Gareth is pretty much, he knows that he's a top target, but in some ways, part of me thinks, Bentley, that maybe that's what Mr. Angel wants all along?
Maybe, yeah. But it's not what I would want.
That's
maybe
true.
Gareth, yeah. Maybe Gareth has something to prove because he's got all these people who don't like him. He's got all these people who don't want him to succeed. Hell, if I wasn't in the Rumble, I would want Gareth to succeed. But I'm in the Rumble.
But don't you feel like, in a sense, you and him in this particular point maybe see eye to eye? Because, you know, there's a lot of people who don't like you. There's a lot of people that look at you and say, you know what, you're going about it the right way, very similar to Gareth. And there are certain wrestlers, I mean, Disciple's going to have his feelings, I'm sure, in a minute or two when we bring him on. I mean, are going to feel like, hey, I want to take that guy. That guy's got the top spot. I mean, you're right now, I mean, the last 6 months, you've become a top guy. I mean, you were a top guy in all different places.
Well, yeah. So why don't me and Gareth team up in the Rumble, get rid of everyone, and then me and Gareth last two?
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that could be a very, very interesting point. And let me get to one comment here before I get to Disciple. And that is, I don't think you're feeling nervous at all, because I've spoken to you before world title matches. You're not feeling nervous at all for Saturday. Yeah. I think that's a no-brainer. There's no way that
not nervous for me on Saturday.
No, and very quickly, I know last weekend we were at a show wrestling, and I wanted to give that a very, very quick plug before I bring Disciple in. Talk about where you were and how did that all go about?
Oh, yeah, so last weekend I was in the PCW Rumble.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's why I knew somebody had experience. That's why I wanted to bring that up. So PCW Rumble, very, very interesting there.
Unfortunately, that didn't go that well, I'll be honest.
Well, you could have told us you would have won. We would have said, yeah, congratulations.
Well, Matt Brooks won.
Well,
very, very good wrestler.
Well, I know Matt Brooks, so that doesn't surprise me one bit.
I think the talent in that Rumble was top tier. It was people above my level. It was, you know.
I find that hard to believe anybody's above your level right now. I got to be honest.
But yeah, there was people like Joey Hayes, Danny Hope.
Oh, well, Joey Hayes. Okay, well, I take that back. Joey Hayes is definitely a phenomenal wrestler.
It was a challenge. It was something I was proud I did because I've always wanted to be in the PCW Rumble. Mm-hmm. But onwards and upwards, I'm now going to be at the PCW Open Ring on the exact same day I'm doing the Monday Night Mutiny taping. So
wow. I tell you what, Bentley, you were a very, very busy man. You were definitely pulling double duty here. These are reasons why you need to follow Bentley and Bentley_Wrestle and Bentley Wrestle. And let me bring him on because he's here, he's waiting, and I know he's got a lot to say on his mind. And ladies and gentlemen, let's give him his proper due, his proper entrance, because he's definitely right now on his way to the Fountains Church because he's also pulling double duty here Saturday night because he's got a match that's going to decide a lot in his position. But I know he's going to get the job done here. I know he's got payback on his mind for the man that is with us right now, with him for the first time in many months. So with further ado here on the Sports Show, the #1 global sports show, pro wrestling star here, literally from everywhere. He's also an actor, movie star, jack of all trades, former world champion. He is Disciple. My friend, how are we?
Very good, thanks, Tom. Very good. Thanks for having me back on again.
I'm happy to have you. Literally just about 48 hours away to the Fountains Church in Bradford, GT Ministries UK on Facebook. You can watch it also on YouTube like I'll be doing on GT Ministries page. And Disciple, this is the first time in many months that you get to be toe-to-toe with the man who beat you in that main event, Bentley. And a lot of people felt that you had that match won. I know you did. You said a lot about it on social media, and I want to now give you the floor. Bentley's right here with us. Tell us what you think and what you want to say to him.
Well, it's always good to see Bentley, not always when he's across the ring from me. It was a great match, and as you quite rightly said, it could have gone either way. He was very, very lucky, let's put it this way, that he got that kick out of nowhere and Yeah, it was a great match, and as you said before, Tom, I think that put Bentley on a bit of a propeller as to where he was going after that, and obviously he main evented quite a few after that. So obviously, I helped push him up to the level, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the Rumble on Saturday.
But see, that's where, and I'll get to Bentley in a second for his take, but this is where things are going to get interesting, because Bentley talked about the fact a few short minutes ago that when it comes to the Rumble, everyone's focusing on Gareth Angel, but here's the real truth. Here's the real story here. When it comes to size and it comes to experience, Bentley correctly pointed out, which I didn't realize, is that it's going to be you who's got the experience. You're a favorite. Himself, obviously, Mr. Angel. People like Rarebit, although we'll see where he ends up after you win on Saturday. But when it comes to the guys with the size and the experience, the guys right now I'm looking at, yourself and Bentley, you guys could be right now the final two participants. This is where it's all going to break down here. I mean, I know you got to feel the same way.
Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it did end up to me and Bentley. And you know what? If it did, then that's going to be one hell of a last two to fight out for the number one contendership. And listen, I'll do everything I can. I'm not going to stop until I get the win. And you know, even if I've got a few dirty tricks up my sleeve, which I might have,
Don't tell us
then
I'll
have to use them. No. I never tell my tricks, Tom. I never tell my tricks.
Don't you dare. Especially
Never
after
tell
what
them.
Mr. Angel said yesterday when we were on the air, basically saying he was coming out with an announcement. But I've got Bentley, and I realize Bentley's only got a set amount of time. So, Bentley, I want to give you a response here after a few things that Disciple had to say here and where we end up Saturday night at the Fountains Church. And I give you the floor.
Can I just say you're a lot nicer than you were last time.
Yeah, what's up with that? I was expecting like fireworks after everybody that's come on here the last week. I was expecting it just to all come out here and be a verbal assault here. What's going on? Are you playing mind games, Disciple?
This is a calm before the storm. You haven't seen anything yet. Wait until Saturday comes. That's when there's a change in Disciple.
Good point.
And what happened to you being Sean Only's little bitch as well?
Ooh.
Because weren't you paid by Sean Only to fight me in that match?
I ain't anybody's bitch. I came and did the job that I needed to do.
What, the job of losing?
Well, we'll see who's bitch on Saturday, won't we?
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it's starting to break down. This is a tease. This is also a tease why you need to follow GT Ministries. GT Ministries UK Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, GT Ministries. Also follow these guys right now. Disciple's on YouTube right now. You better be following him. He's on Facebook right now, Disciple Wrestling. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. He is back. Listen, everybody used to say, oh, Michael Jordan, you'd come back. Michael Jordan is back. No, Disciple is back. And I promise you, Disciple's comeback tour, it's going to be a hell of a lot more successful than the last Michael Jordan one. It's going to be more successful than quote-unquote Tom Brady's comeback tour. And Bentley, you need to follow him as well, because Bentley, I got a feeling, is going to be holding gold. I don't know if it's going to be Saturday night, becoming the number one contender, but I know somewhere he's going to be holding gold. And he is definitely going to be somebody that you need to follow. But Disciple, I got to come back to you because I'll get to Bentley here, a few closing thoughts from him and a few things he wants to say before Saturday night. But I mean, you got to also have a little bit of motivation and a lot on your mind, because you're going to be having a match before the 30-person Rumble. Now, again, don't tell us the strategy, but I mean, there's a lot on the line here. There's a lot at stake because, yes, I agree. I've said it. You are definitely one of the favorites for this, but I still don't want to see you number one here in this Rumble. I want to see you number 30. I think, listen, I'm going to go out here before you answer this and before I get to Bentley here very quickly. If you win that fatal four-way match against Rarebit, the Metal God Alex Boylan, Sean Only, if you win this match, I feel, because you're going to get that number 30 spot, I think it's almost a foregone conclusion. You're winning this Rumble coming up here. Forget about Jack Johnson. We ain't going to be speaking about him much longer, because you're going to definitely win if you win that fatal four-way match. I mean, you feel like that there's a lot on the line here? You feel like that you win this match, you're automatically the favorite? I mean, I don't want you to lose here and get pinned. That's what I'm telling you right now. So, I mean, walk me through your thoughts here on all this.
I haven't got any intentions to lose. I haven't got any intentions to lose the Rumble. I've told you before. I've said it before. I've been in big Rumbles before. I've eliminated legends from the business. Doug Williams, I've eliminated from a Rumble. I've lasted 56 minutes in a Rumble before in 28-degree heat, and I've overcome it all. So, Fatal 4-Way to me, it's just a warm up, ready for the main event. And I don't care if I come first, second, 30th, 29th. I'll go in whenever, and I'll just do what I do best.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about that. But I mean, Bentley, I know obviously you got to prepare. You've got to get ready for the Fountains Church. I know that you've got to get ready for a lot in your mind. You're going to be everywhere pretty much. Literally, you are going to be the Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, because you are going to be literally at almost all these different companies, and including my friends over at the LWF, which I really hope that Mr. Baby and Mr. Fitzgerald also make sure that they bring Disciple over to the LWF very, very soon. But I mean, Bentley, I want to give you the floor in two parts. The first part is, what do you want to say to anybody that's going to be at the Fountains Church coming up here in Bradford this Saturday? Anybody that's going to see a Monday Night Mutiny in the LWF? And a second part to that, what do you want to say to Disciple? This is a chance here. You get one more crack at him. You might get to see him, hopefully, in the Rumble. What do you want to say to him and to anybody else that's going to watch you here, and especially in GT Ministries, in the LWF, and elsewhere over the next couple of weeks?
So, yeah, firstly, Saturday, I think there's a lot of favourites in the Rumble. Like, you've got me, got Disciple, you've got Sean Only, who I know very well. I think Disciple probably knows very well as well. Gareth, you've got Boylan. Everyone in that 4-way is a favourite. So,
true. Good point.
And I was in a similar situation 5 or 6 years ago in Darwin in RWL. I was in a 4-way. I actually beat Sean Only in that 4-way. That was a long time ago. And then I lasted. It wasn't actually, it wasn't if you win, you're first or 30th. It was just a 4-way. And then I came in 4th and lasted till the last 4. And similar to Disciple, 53.5 minutes I lasted. And annoyingly, Sean Only eliminated me. So that's like the eternal feud I seem to have had. But Saturday, I'm determined. I'm ready. I've been in Rumbles before. I've lasted a long time Rumbles before. I'm now at the physical peak I've ever been. I'm in the best form of my entire career, and I'm ready. I'm winning that Rumble. As for LWF, I don't know who I'm against, but whoever it is, it's getting put down.
Okay.
Yeah. Disciple. What can I say? We had a great match. Main event at GTM, my first ever main event. So yeah, I can thank you for that. But since then, it's been onwards and upwards. Since then, I'm literally 5 times the wrestler I was then. The work I put in since then. So when you see me in that Rumble, I'm not the same person I was then. So if you think
we'll see about that.
Yeah, well, if you think you know what's coming, then you're not.
All right. Well, that's some very, very strong words here. Before I get to your social media to plug, I do have a question from actually somebody I'm bringing on here next Wednesday. That is Dustin Hart over at CCW. And CCW is going to be represented at GT Ministries because Slugger Hampton, one half of the tag team champions, also a part of Top Tier, is going to be in the Rumble. And he's also said a lot and he's going to be squaring off with Kyle Kennedy here next week, and he's also somebody that people think is a favorite. But Dustin has a good question for both of you guys, and I'll let you run after this, Bentley, and let you plug your social media. But for both of you guys, is there anyone new that you don't know in the Rumble that maybe I'll throw as a bonus that you'd like to square off with or see maybe for both of you guys?
I mean, there's a lot of people I don't know in the Rumble, I'll be honest.
That's true. Good point.
There's a lot of people making the debut in the Rumble.
That's true, too. That's a good point. That's a good point. Anybody stand out for you guys in particular?
There's not.
I think it's just the favourites in it. That you got Rarebit, you got Gareth Angel, obviously Bentley, myself, Sean Only. There's a couple of big guys in there. Obviously, you got the new NSAW guys in there, the trainees. You got some of the academy trainees from GT Ministries. So at the end of the day, when they come in it, they could surprise a lot of people. You just don't know. And that's why your game plan has to completely change when it comes to a Rumble.
Yeah, that's why I'm really curious about this one. Go ahead, Bentley. Jump in real quick.
There's one guy I've just seen, it was announced a few days ago, Adam Lowes, who I've trained with.
Yes.
And I've seen wrestle, and he's a guy who I would like to wrestle. So that would be nice if me and him were in there at the same time.
Back in the day, me and Adam used to train back in the day quite a few years ago as well. So we've got some experience. So I'm looking forward to meeting him again.
I'll tell you what, I was speaking with management a couple of days ago, because I won't say who is management, but I'll say that management was messaging me and was telling me, I'm telling you, you're going to see this Rumble, and it's going to be the most interesting Rumble you've ever seen before. And I said, well, you got me already. I mean, obviously, we cover GT Ministries all the time here on Sportswire Radio, but management had sent me a message that there'll be even more surprises Saturday night, so certainly stay tuned. But Bentley, I know you got to run, so any social media you want to plug or anything else you want to say before I let you run, and we'll spend a few more minutes with Disciple here, because I know everybody's got to get ready to go to the Fountains Church and get ready for Saturday's huge show coming up.
Yeah, so as usual, thanks everyone for having me on. Thanks for listening, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all similar, all Bentley_wrestle or wrestler. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward, and I cannot wait for Monday Night Mutiny for the LWF. Boy, I can't wait to watch you in the LWF, Bentley. I can promise you that I'm going to be speaking to the locker room after this for sure. I can promise you. But don't, like I said, don't spoil anything. But I'll be sure tomorrow night your word will be mentioned a few times for sure on the air. So we thank you for all that, though, and good luck. And we'll definitely speak with you, I'm sure, here in a few weeks.
No worries. See you later, and see you on Saturday, Disciple.
Have eyes in the back of your head, boy.
Boy, ladies and gentlemen, here, if that wasn't a cue, I definitely don't know what is. And we are on Sportswire Radio with pro wrestling star here, Disciple. I mean, look at the shape of this man right now. Look at the size. They need a car right now to hold this man. Because, listen, he was just being calm. Because if he wanted to, he could have got out of the car. He could have went to Bentley's house, and he could have just took him out of there. It would have been boom, 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 ba-bee, ba-ba-boom. But he didn't want to, because he's getting ready. He's saving his energy. But I have a good comment here from Dustin Hart, who's going to join us next Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to speaking with Dustin. He has, for you, so there's a lot of unknown talent. Some may say that is scary. Some may say that that's an advantage for you. He also says, good luck, and also, from the sound of things, it'll be a Rumble to remember. Now, I know that you've been in a lot of Rumbles. I know that you have basically wrestled all over. We spoke quite a bit. Of course, go to your YouTube page, which you can find a link to with Disciple Wrestling on Facebook as well. Please like his page, because you can also find previous matches. All stuff is coming down the pike here. It's going to be a great page. We've got a logo design, everything else in the works. But maybe comparing this to some other Rumbles you've been in, how is this similar, different? I think that's a good question for people who are going to watch this.
Well, as we've just mentioned, there's a lot of people that I've not had much interaction with in terms of being in the ring with. Obviously, you've got the GT Ministries Academy guys in there. You've got some of the NSAW guys. Although I've been helping train them, I haven't been in a fight setting with them, which I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on a couple of them and laying out a few strikes. And then there's obviously a couple of guys, that have been announced. Obviously, I'm going to have a bit of a scuffle with Rarebit, which I'm looking forward to, and Alex Boylan, and me and Gareth Angel have got a bit of history, so it'd be good to revisit that, and hopefully, maybe down the line it could be a good title match, Disciple versus Angel.
I know that Summertime Slaughterhouse, we came back in a big way. We got a huge win against an old foe in Rex Savage. But I spoke about a few minutes ago that you're back in the comeback tour. And I kind of feel like, tell me your thoughts on this. You get a win in that Fatal 4 match, which we know that you're going to get that win. You're going to be number 30. Then you're going to go in here. You're going to go into this Rumble. You're going to win the Rumble. I kind of think that this Saturday night upcoming at the Fountains Church, in a lot of ways, is going to be the epicenter of the Disciple comeback tour. You feel the same way?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of hype building into this match, which is great. And Rumbles are very, very good. They're unpredictable. There are surprises always in Rumbles. But like I said, that's why your game plan has to change. And my experience is going to come through that. And I'm confident. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, that when this Rumble comes, there's only going to be one winner, and that's me.
And I tell you what, I've been saying it the past several weeks. You are definitely one of the favorites here. There is no question about it right now. Look at the size. Look at the shape of Disciple. Disciple is on a run right now, and the comeback tour is only just getting started. But Bentley said something a little while ago when I first asked him the question. I don't know if you got a chance to hear it, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to maybe respond because I thought it was a good point he made. He said that everybody is focusing on Gareth Angel, whether it's Slugger Hampton, whether it's all the NSAW guys. Everybody right now is focusing on Gareth Angel, and he took a different approach. He felt that, you know what? Gareth Angel is only one of 30 people. So the name of the game is to win the Rumble. Whether you're going to be number 30 and you only face off with Gareth, hey, it doesn't matter, right? But from your vantage point, I mean, do you think that that's the right strategy? Is, maybe Bentley's perspective and just say, you know what? The name of the game is just to win it. Who cares about Gareth Angel in terms of just going after him and giving him pot shots because it's about winning. It's not about a personal score to settle. What's your thoughts on some of that?
Yeah, well, even though I may very much dislike Bentley, he's got a point. I don't see the big deal with going after Gareth Angel. There are a lot of guys in there that people don't know about, and would be very surprised with. So going after one person, I think, is the complete wrong mindset. For me, people keep lining them up, and I'll just knock them down. Simple as that.
I got a very, very good feeling that Disciple's going to do that, and I highly recommend you give him a follow at Disciple Wrestler on Instagram and Facebook, Disciple Wrestling, YouTube, and give him a follow and all that stuff. And talk about the YouTube page very quickly since the last time you came on, because the YouTube page is up and running. I love the logo, love the design. We shared it on the Sportswire page. I will definitely continue to promote that. And I enjoyed rewatching again, guys. I know I watched the match before. I enjoyed the match with Lance Rivera where the kids were giving like the little slaps. That was so comical. I'm sorry, that was so comical. I mean, poor Lance Rivera in one sense, because it was like, well, you're expecting like these big slaps and and the little kids were like, It was like, I mean, they did better than I would, but I mean, you must have a lot of fun going down memory lane and kind of picking out these matches and putting them on the YouTube page where we can subscribe and see much more content on the way. So plug our YouTube page.
Yeah, absolutely. So Disciple Professional Wrestler is something I've been wanting to do for a long time now. I want to get the content out there and seeing a bit more. And, it's also great for promotions if I'm trying to get myself out there and get more bookings. It's also a good place just to send people to look at matches. And, there's a match, obviously the match you mentioned with Lance Rivera, where I was a face. I was a good guy for once.
Yeah, that was weird. You actually worked the match so differently. And even like some of the spots, I mean, it was like, this isn't the Disciple I know. This isn't the Disciple I'm expecting Saturday night at the Fountain's Church.
Hey, listen, I'm a man of many talents. I can flip
Good
it and
point.
switch.
You are a jack of all trades, which I did correctly point out at the top.
You did. So I just wanted to get some matches out there for people to see and stuff. And there are going to be more added on there, and hopefully the Bentley one's going to be on there shortly, and a few others from my career. Yeah.
Well, thankfully, though, GT Ministries streams everything live, so you can go back on their page on YouTube and, of course, Facebook and go back and watch the matches. So GT Ministries is very good with that, so I appreciate all that. But I got to ask you, is obviously I do have to mention Nonstop Action Wrestling here for a few minutes because it is broken down between wrestlers amongst each other. Slugger Hampton has certainly got involved in it. They've all gone off on Mr. Angel and GT Ministries, and it seems like right now that there is some type of rivalry brewing between Nonstop Action Wrestling and other companies, whether it's GT Ministries, CCW, Immortal Wrestling, Blackheart Wrestling. It's a long list of them. And I know that you're a part of the fold now at Nonstop Action Wrestling. And I'll get to your thoughts on the announcement as well here while we have about 10 or 15 minutes with Disciple. We know he's very, very busy, and we appreciate his time. But, I mean, what do you make of all this, what we've seen here the past week or so, where basically Nonstop Action Wrestling wrestlers are pretty much, I mean, it's like broken down to where it's just companies are now basically taking shots at each other. What do you think of all that? And how do you kind of fit into all this?
Listen, people can shout and scream and do what they want. It's like the patients are running the madhouse. At the end of the day, I'll go in and I'll do my job, which is to beat people up and win. Simple as that. I don't care if there's rivalries. I don't care if there's bickering behind the scenes or whatever it might be. Listen, I'm going to go in. I'm going to do my job. I don't care if it's CCW. I don't care if it's GT Ministries, NSAW, LWF, Bolton Town Wrestling, whoever it is. I don't care. I'll just go in, do my thing, and then leave.
Let me ask you a follow-up question, because obviously we know that you have a lot of experience. We've spoken about it here. You've got big matches, big wins, world titles, you name it. Is it a sign of inexperience when nonstop action wrestling, some of those younger wrestlers, some of those newer talents maybe go out there and say, you know what? Gareth Angel, ba-ba-bee, ba-ba-boom, ba-ba-boom, and other companies, even a Slugger Hampton right now, who's another veteran who's on quite a run right now. He's a champion in another company, CCW, 10 consecutive sellouts. Is that a sign of inexperience, you think, when wrestlers maybe mouth off more than they can bite off? I mean, what do you think on all that?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it a few times before in the past where it's, the new kids on the block. I think sometimes that you just have to shut up and listen, and just get on with it. There are far too many people that I see nowadays coming into the wrestling business that have been doing it 6 months, 9 months, a year, and they feel entitled that they're worth more, that they should be doing more. And like I say, I've been in this industry for a number of years now when it comes to training. And, when I go to training, I'll make notes and I'll practice and I'll do things in my head. And, it's all well and good, the NSAW guys mouthing off and saying whatever to whoever, but they've got to back it up. There's got to be some backbone to what they're saying. And, I'll go back to a couple of my training sessions that I've done. A couple of people turned up, a few people turned up, but, did I see heart and determination from everyone? No. Did I see a heart and determination from a couple of them? Yeah. But for those people that didn't turn up, or those people that, sort of came to the show, it's kind of like, if you're bigging yourself up saying you're this, you're that, you're the other, then you need to follow up. So I think what they're trying to do at the minute is they're trying to run before they can even walk. And that's why I'm actually looking forward to the Rumble on Saturday, so I can give them a few of them a little slap around.
Well, I could certainly see a few of those certain points there. I almost have to ask as a follow-up there, Mr. Disciple. I mean, don't tell us any names. Don't tell us any names of who did what or who didn't do what. But do you think, in a sense, that maybe those wrestlers that are mouthing off, are those the wrestlers that might think of themselves a little bit bigger than they should be, and maybe they should be focused on, how can I put this in a nice way, maybe called paying their dues a little bit more? Is that a fair assessment, you think? Well, ladies and gentlemen, apparently there you go.
Sorry, there we go.
That's okay. I figured maybe Kyle Kennedy or somebody came and just hacked your Wi-Fi, but
someone's trying, aren't they?
Yeah, but what do you think about that? Do you think that maybe some of these wrestlers that might be mouthing off more, maybe they should be focused on maybe more paying their dues? Because you did point out that certain wrestlers are putting the work in, and certain other wrestlers maybe not so much.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, when you get into the business, I know it might be an old school term of paying your dues, but you can't be in the business for 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is, a year, and do a bit of training and be on matches and then automatically think that you're entitled to matches and not turn up to training and not, throw your name about as if you're one of the big boys that you've been around for ages, when it's not the case. And, it's always good when I get into the ring with those people, because I can just slap them around a bit and just put them down to the size that they should be.
Well, I love to see that. I'll tell you what, I would definitely love to see that. So I would definitely love to see somebody you knock down and somebody you push him back to size. But I want to ask you, obviously, very quickly before closing thoughts here and touching maybe a thought or two on GT Ministries, and I'm sure we'll get you back on before Fire and Gold as well. But, I mean, when it comes to the announcement that Mixed Knights made about nonstop action wrestling, basically not only entering the forbidden door, but breaking it down to where it could be not only the face of professional wrestling in the UK could change, but almost the entire world. I mean, what's your thoughts on all that? And I would have to think, for somebody like you, who, again, we've spoken about that, we want to see you in other places, and we're starting to see that trickle in a little bit. And I got to think that you fit pretty big and pretty nicely into this. I mean, what did you think about Mixed Knight's announcement Monday night here involving nonstop action wrestling and the forbidden door basically being torn down?
Well, it was amazing. I think, for the flaws that they do have, the NSAW management have done a great job in what they've achieved. And, is it something I want to be a part of? Absolutely. As much as I love wrestling and doing what I do and knocking people about a bit, I also love the training aspect of it. And I think, when a lot of promotions get together, work together, there's only one winner, and that's the fans. The more wrestling that we can provide, the great fans of wrestling, then the better, really.
Absolutely, no question about it. And I also want to give a plug to you because I saw you wrestling outside not too long ago. I saw the ring and I saw you being a part of things. And just like Bentley was recently a part of a Rumble over at PCW, I got to give a plug to where the last we saw you. So the comeback tour is in full swing, and tell us about that and how it all came out.
Well, that was a private festival, a company festival. So we went and did a company festival wrestling show.
Okay.
With a couple of wrestlers. Obviously, Lance Rivera was one of the guys there who I had a match with. And what I will say, and I want to go and say this now, and this is for the newbies in wrestling, the new kids on the block. I just want to say this and really listen to what I'm going to say now. One thing in professional wrestling that I've noticed a lot of is that people will plan, talk about matches, do whatever it might be. Now, I could be breaking kayfabe or whatever it is. I don't really care. But one thing that a lot of people do nowadays is they plan everything and they do everything. Now, that Saturday when me and Lance Rivera did that show, not once did we plan anything. We did everything on the fly. That's what you call a true worker. We did everything in the ring. We didn't discuss anything beforehand. We just did it as and when. Now, that's an art form that not many people these days can do. So what I will say to anybody at NSAW that are listening now, when you come into my training next Saturday, the 23rd, be prepared to work on the fly.
And I'll tell you what, also, I'll give a side point. If Disciple says the training session's for 11 o'clock, show up at 8 o'clock. Show up at 7:30. Just assume Disciple's there. Just assume the light is on. Just assume to be there early and don't show up at 11 o'clock. Because if you show up at 11 o'clock, looking at the size of this man right now, looking at the run that he's on, he might say, well, I'm changing the locks and get out. So, I mean, all serious, just get there early. Just listen to this man because look at the size of this man. And if I was a trainee, I would just say, yes, sir, Mr. Disciple, whatever you say, whatever you do, and I'll make sure to pick up the tab if I can afford it on the meal bill. That would basically what I would do. I'm sure you'll definitely win some brownie points there. And the Playboy Prince, Lance Rivera, always does a great job, although certainly he and your old foe and friend, the Ronin Brian Adenson, didn't seem like they saw eye to eye last week at KOW. And
yeah, that was great. Love that.
I'm going to be bringing back the Ronin very soon about that, but we're with Disciple right now. So very quickly, I want to ask you then, final thoughts before we get to GT Ministries Fountain Church Saturday night. What do you want to say to anybody that I know I've asked the question, but I'll ask it again because we always like to ask as a refresher. What do you want to say to your opponents in the Fatal 4-Way match? And what do you want to say to anybody that you may cross the ring with once you become number 30, win that match at the Fountains Church, ready to rumble and become that number one contender?
You're damn right, Tom, and that's going to be the only outcome. What I would say to anybody that's facing me, whether it be the Fatal 4-Way, whether it be the Rumble match, expect the unexpected. In a Fatal 4-Way match, anything can happen. It literally takes 3 seconds. You could be fighting outside of the ring, and the next thing you know, a free count's been happened. When it comes to the Rumble, like I say, I've got experience in that, so I'll have my wits about me. I've got my game plan, which obviously I'm not going to say. I've got my game plan ready to go into that. But what I will say is just expect the unexpected.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that you better expect the unexpected, and you better expect Disciple to be the man that's going to be the next person to take that title off Jack Johnson. Because Jack Johnson, I mean, we've had you on quite a bit. We've had you on a few times, but basically, you are a temporary champion right now. Basically, you are holding the championship until Disciple decides that he's taking the title from you. Because, Mr. Johnson, You can keep that title in Salford. You can keep it till as long as you want, until September, whatever the day is. But you are definitely going to be losing that GT Ministries Championship once Disciple wins the Rumble. So certainly your days are numbered as champion. So definitely hold the title, take a look at it, take some photos, mention Salford in Facebook post, because your reign as champion is coming to an end very, very, very soon. I can assure you of that, because you haven't faced somebody like Disciple. I mean, listen, Mustafa Khan, he may be great in UKW, but you know what? Mustafa Khan ain't Disciple. Mr. Angel, Mr. Angel ain't at his prime right now. He ain't at his peak. Disciple, he's back. And I want to ask you this last question then before I get to closing thoughts. And that's obviously Fire and Gold. You've heard, obviously, different wrestlers. Kyle Kennedy's gotten his way into a match with Conor Cage. You've spoken quite a bit about Conor Cage. I know how you feel about Conor Cage. Remus Kane came on yesterday. I mean, pretty much everybody's come on at this point. Dante O'Cara's coming on Monday. I mean, so the list continues here. So everybody's making their claims. I mean, but I asked Mixed Knights about you Monday, and it seemed like he thought you had a case, but I still see nobody being announced, and I still, most importantly, see Disciple not being announced. I mean, you can't be too impressed with the way things are going in terms of how this layout's been going for the tournament for the World Class title August the 13th.
Absolutely, and I think although we can give the NSAW management credit for what they've done in terms of working with other companies, in terms of the Fire and Gold show, I mean, what on earth is going on? We've got one person, announced for that. What's going on? It's next month. It's literally a few weeks away.
I said less than 30 days now. I said it with Mixed Knights, less than 30 days.
Yeah, what's going on? And I can't beg the case enough. I don't know what their criteria is for who they want to pick in the tournament, and they must have a screw loose if they don't put me in that tournament. I'm not going to scream and shout and say that I'm entitled to be in it, but I am.
No, you are. Listen, again, I think about, in GT Ministries, if you want to debate your resume against Sean Only, Mr. Angel, Rarebit, that's fine. I'm happy to have a discussion, at least, but in Nonstop Action Wrestling, there is no discussion. Your resume is better than anybody's right now on that roster. There's no disputing that. There's no disputing what you've done. Just go to the YouTube page for Disciple. Find out. You'll see. Just go to his Instagram page. Go to his Twitter. Go to his Facebook. And you'll pretty much see it. And that's going to be why you should be in this tournament. And again, it is what it is. I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it. I'm sure I'll hear Dante O'Cara give his complaint about it. I'm sure we'll get more people on from NSAW. We also have Killjoy on tomorrow. I'm going to get Killjoy's perspective, so I'm sure I'm going to hear what he has to say about it. So the Lawman Kyle Kennedy is coming back. I know he's going to continue to talk about everybody. Listen, at this point, I know I'm going to have you back at this point after you win the GT Ministries 30-person Rumble. But I know you're a busy man. You've got a lot on your plate. So I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to share, say here on Sportswire Radio. And very, very happy you gave us a few minutes here before you get ready to go to the Fountains Church and kick some ass and take some names, and got to see an old foe one more time in Bentley. So the floor is yours. You know the drill, and fire away, my friend.
Well, again, thanks for having me, Tom, and that's exactly what's going to happen on Saturday. I'm going to be kicking a lot of asses and certainly giving a few slaps around to many of my opponents in the ring. And yeah, all I'll say is YouTube page is active. It's on now, Disciple Professional Wrestler. Obviously, all my socials, Instagram, Disciple Wrestler, and Facebook, Disciple Wrestling. Lots of stuff coming up. I've got a few announcements coming up in the not too distant future, but I can't say too much in a minute and talk to a few promotions. So, yeah, really looking forward to the next few months and what we got coming up.
And I have to, before we let you go, I have a comment from somebody that you might actually want to see this comment. And that is for Mr. Gareth Angel, and Mr. Angel just says, "See you Saturday, brother." And I think you were much more calm when it came to directing your thoughts to Mr. Angel, where some other wrestlers, as we pointed out for Mr. Angel, they were basically almost yelling from the top of their lungs how much they wanted Mr. Angel, and they wanted to do this and that to Mr. Angel, and you were much more calmer. I think that shows your veteran experience, your veteran leadership. So certainly when I see Mr. Angel and Disciple in the ring, this is where the big boys play. The new kids on the block, as we've been talking about, those new kids, I don't know if they have the right stuff, quote unquote, when it comes to dealing with Disciple and Gareth Angel. So certainly, yes, I brought out a cheesy New Kids on the Block reference, but what can I tell you? But I know one thing, ladies and gentlemen, it ain't going to be cheesy at all when Disciple is back at GT Ministries this Saturday, fatal four-way match. He's going to get the job done against Rarebit, the Metal God Alex Boylan, and Sean Only. And then that Rumble, him and Mr. Angel very well could be the final two. It could even be Bentley in the final three. It's going to break down. You need to go to GT Ministries UK on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, also YouTube GT Ministries, where I'll be watching it. I cannot wait to watch it live. I'm looking forward to this. Before I let you go, I am looking forward to the fact that finally, after all this talk, I can actually watch all of these wrestlers that I've been having on from Nonstop Action Wrestling and yourself the last several weeks. I can actually watch them live, actually in real time. That's actually something I'm very, very excited about, and I can't thank everybody enough. And we'll be back tomorrow night with Killjoy with some more coverage of Nonstop Action Wrestling. And listen, go get him out there. Go stay cool. Go get ready. And I can't thank you. And bring it home Saturday night. And looking forward to
definitely will do
some big ones. You got it. As we're here on the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show with pro wrestling star here. And his name is Disciple. You want to follow him on Twitter at BTP_Disciple. Disciple Wrestler on Instagram. Also Disciple Wrestling on Facebook. Also like his brand new YouTube page where you will get brand new coverage, new matches, merchandise, logo design, you name it. He's going to have it. He's going to be a huge part of things Saturday night at the Fountains Church for GT Ministries Ready to Rumble That. And I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. I want to thank everybody who's watched and tuned in here tonight. We will be back with more wrestling coverage with Killjoy and then some responses from the Asset Stephen Cross and Wildfire Nate Reese to Bentley, as Bentley is getting ready to make his debut in the LWF. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce.